Okay, got it. Hi, everyone. This is Andra, and I am here with Vegan Vagabonds, Miss Lou Hooper, and she's going to tell you her story.
All
Lou,
right.
it's all you.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Andra. I really appreciate this opportunity and being with you on your Facebook Live. And so, yeah, I have been a vegan for 7 years and wish I'd started a whole lot sooner, but I didn't. So, that's what I deal with. The reason I got into becoming a vegan was because oh,
Okay.
oh, all right. Yeah. So, as I was saying, the reason I got into becoming a vegan was that I went to my doctor's office for a checkup, my usual checkup, and she was checking my blood pressure, which was always high whenever I went to the doctor, that white coat syndrome. And so she was talking away and she said, I'm going to increase your cholesterol meds. And I said, well, really? I mean, do you have to do that? I don't think my cholesterol is up. And she said, you do realize that you're going to be on these drugs for the rest of your life. And I thought, no, I don't think so. These are dangerous medications that I'm on. And I thought, now I've got to take control. I've got to decide what goes in my body, what I'm eating. And that's what motivated me to take a look into a vegan diet. So I did lots and lots and lots of research. It took me hours and hours and hours. And I probably after about 2.5 months, my blood pressure was down, my cholesterol was down, I was off the medications, and I've never turned back, never looked back after 7 years. So I know that a lot of people, are either dealing with this, are dealing with having, these types of medications, or they have anxiety that they may be coming into being prescribed these medications. And I'm not a doctor. I don't profess to be a medical expert, but I just know for me, the vegan diet was just a godsend to my life. So that's the reason why. And I was very fortunate to have my husband join me on the journey, which is nice because it's always good to have some support, even though neither one of us knew what was going on. We had to do all the research. It was nice to have somebody there to talk you through the lows and say, no, come on, we can do this. We've got to do this. And knowing why I was doing it was really important to me. When I started out, as I say, it was my health. And after that point, once I got my health in order, then my main motivation has become cruelty to animals and reducing the amount of torture and pain they go through to end up on our plates.
Can you go a little into what it's like to be a vegan, what those steps look like, what they need to eliminate from their diet?
Sure. So I think a lot of people think that they're fearful that they have to, like, one day they're non-vegan, the next day they're vegan. And as I say, for some people that can work. That's the type of, system that they have or the personality they have. But for me, I know, and I think for a lot of people that I've talked to, the gradual coming into veganism is the way that works best for them. I started with Mediterranean diet, so eliminated a lot of meats and pork and dairy, that meaning mostly fish, and then after that, I stepped into having absolutely no meat whatsoever. So a lot of people are confused. Like, say, for example, a vegetarian. A vegetarian doesn't eat meat, but they will eat animal byproducts such as dairy and eggs. A vegan doesn't eat any of that. They have absolutely no animal food in their diet at all. So I think that the best steps for transitioning into this type of eating routine is to know your why. Like I say, my why to start off with was medical issues. So if you know your why and you're committed to that, that can carry you through the lows and the struggles that you have. You always have to keep that top of mind. So that's really, really important. And I think the other thing is that it's a good idea to write things down. I found that really helpful for me. I kept a food diary, and a lot of people think, oh, that's going to take too much time, but it really doesn't. When you're finished your meal, you write down the time, you write what you ate, what you drank, and I didn't get into the whole, sort of journaling of who I was with and where I was and all that. I just put down, the food items, and it didn't take me that long, but it allowed me to look at patterns that I had, and whether they were good or bad or what I had to change. It gave me a really nice view of what was taking place. And I also wrote out a meal plan for the week, because let's face it, how many of us at the end of the day, it's like, oh my God, what am I going to have to eat tonight? And when you're in that situation, you grab whatever. And if you have a meal plan, you know exactly what you're going to have and what you're going to eat. And you can also have a lot of preparation done, say, for example, on a Sunday, when you've got a little bit of time, or whatever day works best for you, to, chop up all the vegetables that you're going to be using for the week to come. Or, it's an important thing to have those little things prepared. You can also cook up a batch of quinoa or rice, or whatever you're going to have, as I say, in your meal plan. And that leads to always writing down your grocery list. Never go, and I'm sure people have heard this over and over again, never go to the grocery store hungry, for one thing, but also have a grocery list, because that'll keep you focused, and you won't be your eyes won't be wandering to see what else there is. You get what you need and you get out. And so those things I think are really important. And the other thing is, when people are starting, and this is the same for anybody, whether you're vegan, vegetarian, non-vegan, whatever, every meal should have a protein, a carb, even though carbs get a bad rap. What I'm talking about are complex carbs, which are your vegetables and your fruits and oats and grains. And so you don't want to go for the simple, you want to go for the complex. And then the other item that you should have on your plate is a healthy fat. And by that, I mean something like avocados or olives or nuts and seeds. But always have that when you're eating your main meal, because that'll sustain you, it'll keep you full, and it's a healthy approach. And I would say probably 25% protein, 25% fat, and 50% of the carbs being, your vegetables. And another thing is to be
high.
Mhm. Yeah, another thing is to be supported. That's really, really important, because a lot of people try and do this on their own, and it's so difficult. I know there are people that have maybe thought about this for months or maybe even years and thought, I really want to do this. I want to do it. I want to get in there, but they're afraid to do it on their own, and they don't know where to go and how to start. And so it's, as I say, I think it's good to be supported. I think it's good to do it gradually, pull in, say, 2 meals a week that are plant-based. And then when you're used to that and you've got that go-to recipe or recipes and meals, then you can go to 3, and then you can go to 4, and then you can, go from there. And so it's a gradual process. And as I say, for me, I got all kinds of vegan cookbooks and looked for recipes, and that's a lot of time. And so it's good to have those go-to plant-based recipes that are there, and you can call on them when you need them. So they're just some sort of tips that that I followed that I really helped me transition.
I like your process. I think it's very well thought out, and I think that makes a big difference in people's accountability to themselves and that support system. So I know that you have a 5-day process. Do you want to speak a little bit more about that and what that looks like working with you?
Yeah, sure. I have coming up in on August 22nd. It's called a 5-day quest. It's something like a challenge. I don't like to call it a challenge because I see it more as a quest. You start at an end and you're moving forward on a journey. So it's called plant-based eating, the easy, tasty, cheap, healthy way. And I use those because when
Love
I've
it.
talked to people, those are the things that they talk about. Oh, I can't find food that, vegans, it's going to be too difficult and it's going to be boring and it's going to be expensive and I probably won't get the nutrition I need. So that's why I took those 4 elements and they're part of this 5-day quest. And so each day you get a very short video that tells you a little bit about each element and then a question to answer. And we have a specific Facebook group that people can get involved in. And yeah, there'll be recipes there. There'll also be support because one day during the week, I'll have an hour Q&A. People come in and ask questions. And then I'm always on the Facebook as well and being a part of that. Yeah, and there's also prizes involved. So, there's a little bit of fun and some education and hopefully it'll give people, it's a, dipping your toe into it and finding out what it's all about and how you can get those, go-to meals that you want to put into your eating routine. So yeah, it starts August 22nd, and I think you're going to have you're going to have the link for getting involved in that. And yeah, what do you got to lose? It's free. There's not a lot of time. You might, learn something really important. So.
I like that you're telling people that they can incorporate a little in at a time, because for myself, I took certain things out a little at a time. When you look at a big picture, and I tell the group this all the time, like if you're trying to lose weight and you look at 50 pounds, it's so overwhelming. But when you break it down into smaller parts, it suddenly becomes more doable and more achievable and more sustainable because you did it very gradual. And a lot of people, I agree, don't think that you can get all your nutrition from plants. I totally disagree. I know that I eat more plant and fruits and vegetables than I ever did in my life. And I see that in my health, in my energy, in my mood. So can you speak to how plants and phytochemicals really just enhance well-being and health in general?
Sure. It's a matter of, I mean, you've got, antioxidants and, like you say, the phytonutrients in plants that are just like exuding goodness. And, when they say eat the rainbow, and that's really important because different plants, if you're just basing it on like a green salad all the time, then you're not going to be getting all the nutrients you need. You'll be getting some, but the important thing is to bring a variety into your diet. That's really, really important because everything brings something different to the table. So you want to have, in your green salad, you also want to have, radishes or mini bell peppers and, shaved carrots and even throw in some fruit in there as well. So that, I think that's the important thing is that many people, once again, when they think about a vegan eating routine, they think about, oh, you're just going to have some boring little salad, with, maybe some tofu thrown on top or something. But that isn't the case. I mean, or we wouldn't be getting the nutrients. And certainly when you're looking at protein, beans and lentils and tofu, and once again, people are like, tofu. I had tofu once and it was horrible and I'm never going to try it again. And that was me. I had tried tofu once and I thought, oh my God, how do people eat this stuff? Not realizing the right way to cook it or to prepare it. And tofu is meant to be marinated. It will suck up any kind of flavoring that you can give it. So that's where it comes in. Some people can eat plain tofu. I'm not one of them. I like to marinate mine and so yeah, so those are the types of things that come into play. And I know when I went vegan, the first thing people say, And I'm sure it's the same for a lot of people. Where are you going to get your protein? And there's all kinds of protein in, as I mentioned, the items, plus vegetables and fruits have protein in them. So I mean, variety. Variety is the big thing. And you can eat a lot. You can eat a lot of vegetables and be full and be getting those nutrients that are so necessary for your body. Carbs, fats, they're all for energy, for fueling your body. So to cut them out, you're doing yourself a disservice.
So what does a typical day in Lou's life look like? What would you have for breakfast?
Yeah. So when I get up, I have different things that I go through, because once again, I like to have something a little bit different, maybe every other day. So I like smoothies. And so in those, I'll put my fruits and vegetables, and I use oat milk. And I also throw in seeds like flaxseed and chia seeds, and that helps with omegas, and that helps with the healthy fats. And I'll throw in like a tablespoon of plain, like, ordinary peanut butter, and whip that up, and it's delicious. And it because of the protein in it, it sustains me till I have my lunch. And then usually for lunch, I will maybe have something from a leftover from the night before, or I'll have a salad and with mixed vegetables, and on that as well, I have like uh, an oil and balsamic vinegar combo, and I use all kinds of different types of balsamic vinegars, like pineapple and pistachio, just to add flavor to it. And I usually put seeds on top of that, pumpkin seeds and sunflower seeds. And then I usually have a piece of fruit, either banana, an orange, or an apple. Mid-afternoon, I usually will have a snack of, I have a handful of nuts, which would be, I usually use almond and pecan, or pistachios, and then a piece of fruit with that. And then for dinner, we'll have maybe, I like bowls. I like what's called Buddha bowls. And it's just a combination of a lot of things that are thrown into a bowl. So it can be, chickpeas, and it can be quinoa, and then some vegetables thrown in there, like roasted Brussels sprouts. And once again, as I say, then I'll have a piece of fruit. And then through the day, I always drink water, and I have tea first thing in the morning. I like matcha tea, which is an intensified green tea. So yeah, that's sort of kind of what my day looks like.
So I do know people that are vegan. I would have a big trouble giving away those eggs. I love my eggs,
Yeah.
I'm not so big on meat anymore. I was talking earlier in another group, and I said that I have a lot of difficulty chewing them and stuff like that. I'm also not big on chicken after eating so many fruits and vegetables. I find that I think it's more gamey now, that because I have so many more fruits and vegetables in my diet. And I don't really miss the things that I've eliminated. Like I used to have, instead of a 12-ounce steak or a 6-ounce steak, I used to have those big, 16-ounce steaks, 12-ounce steaks.
Yeah.
I don't really miss them. Do you miss the things that you've eliminated in your diet, or you find that your palate has changed?
Certainly after 7 years, I don't. But when I first started, the thing that we had a real difficult time with was seafood, because we loved our seafood. And of course, seafood is full of cholesterol, and that's what I was trying to eliminate out of my diet and my system. So we had to stop eating that. And we did miss it, the scallops and lobsters, but we found substitutes for it. And were they the same? Did they taste the same? Not exactly. No, for sure they didn't. And I guess the thing to do is, when you go into it, you have to go into it expecting that this is not going to taste the same, but it's a good substitute. It's a healthier substitute, and you get used to it. There's no doubt about it. You get used to what you have to get used to. And I would say now after 7 years, no, even to look at a steak turns my stomach. I can't even think about it. And it's not only the meat that you're ingesting, but it's also everything that they put in the meat that's now going into you. Antibiotics, steroids, and things that you don't even realize that are going into your system. So it's a matter of, and the other thing before I forget, because a lot of people, it's cheese. People will inevitably say, oh, I really miss cheese. And yeah, we did too, because we enjoy cheese and camembert and all that. But once again, they're making all kinds of different vegan cheeses. And as the demand comes along, and as more and more people turn to plant-based eating, there are more and more types of things that you can get. And they're always, working to try and get things that like a lot of people will say, well, cheese doesn't melt. Well, they're getting to cheeses now that, you want to put it on your vegan pizza, it will melt. So yeah, I mean, there are things like that. And I think the main point to take away is not to think that they're going to taste exactly the same, because they're not. And I think it's the same as if you're making an Italian meal and you're not going into it thinking, well, this is going to taste just like the Indian, meal that I made last night. Things have different tastes. I mean, and you have to understand that, you accept it for what it is.
I know that there are a lot of things that you spoke to that I am in agreement 100%, like the hormones and the steroids and everything that are in our foods, and I just was speaking about hormones, and someone wanted something specific for age, and I told her, instead of really restricting diet, like taking out carbs and things like that, they need to really restrict the foods that we're eating that are full of these additives and preservatives and the sugars, because those are really the chemical disruptors that are making us sick and throwing off our balance. Would you agree?
Yeah, I totally agree, Andra. I think that it's a matter of, like a lot of people say, oh, well, don't eat carbs or don't eat fats. And as I said before, those are really important to your body and to your functioning of your body. But you're right. It's things like, the additional salt and the sugars. Sugar is like, well, it's poison. Let's face it. And so it's those types of things that will age you for sure. And so it's a matter of, and it is a withdrawal. I've read where sugar is almost as intense as being on cocaine, having to try and withdraw from that, because it just grabs hold of your system and everyone thinks, oh, I've got to have it, I've got to have it. But once you start eating just fresh fruits and vegetables, there's no comparison. It's just it's I can't say enough about diving into an orange and getting the sweetness and the also the fiber. I mean, that's what's really important too, is the amount of fiber that's in these foods that's important to your system. So yeah, I would totally agree with you.
I'm doing a program with one of my clients and as support, because I'm not looking for the same outcomes as she is. But COVID made me it threw off my gut health, and I feel like I just want to do a reset. So I'm going to work that program a little differently and tailor it to my needs, because there are it's not restrictive. There are a lot of meats and proteins and things like that that people can, want to eat on a day-to-day basis. But I'm going to use more of those plant proteins, like you said, to really incorporate on for me, because those are my preferences. So I can see, I know that there's an easy way to get your plant proteins with the legumes and lentils,
Yes.
the things that you spoke to.
Yeah.
So a lot of people have a misconception that they'd be losing something, and they don't look at what they're gaining from it.
Yes, exactly.
So your health is why you started this. And has your health really grossly improved because of your journey?
Yes, I mean my blood pressure's down, my cholesterol is down, and for the last 7 years, that's the thing that I've been working on, and yeah, I mean you have energy, you sleep better, there's a whole lot of my skin. I had some skin issues, and those have cleared up. So there's all kinds of benefits to this, let alone the major things like, helping to, reduce the risk of cancers, and helping with autoimmune diseases. And so there's all kinds, and I think more and more people are, because of COVID, as you mentioned, I think more and more people are taking a look at their health a little bit more and thinking, yeah, I think maybe I should get more plant-based, items into my eating routine. And that's what this is all about. It's, like the 5-day quest is just a way to show you how to get more of that in there and how you can work that out to have go-to plant-based recipes. So I think as I say, it's not a matter of, even if you decrease the amount of meat, just, a little, and increase the amount of plant-based, that can be beneficial. It doesn't mean that you have to go completely vegan. And I mean, certainly that's what I would like people to do, because, that's kind of the, where I am, and how I enjoy life, and my lifestyle. But that's not to say, as I just said, you can't, just a little bit of change can have a real impact on your health, on the lives of animals, and even our environment. So, just take it a step at a time, get in a few of those plant-based meals, and you're on your way.
I think you said that quite eloquently, because I also believe that little steps go a long way for progress, and that it's not about perfection. It's about learning to incorporate new things into your diet. That even if someone wasn't thinking about being vegan and they just really wanted to learn how to incorporate more fruits and vegetables, I think that your class, your 5-day quest, could really benefit them.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's something, because I'm not shoving veganism down people's throats. I just want to have people eat more fruits and vegetables to help increase, their health. And so, yeah, I think, like I say, it's dipping your toe in, just finding out, because a lot of people, when they first start on this journey, it's like they're so overwhelmed, they're so confused, because there's so much information out there, and they don't know where to turn and what to look for. So, and they don't have confidence in the food choices, because they're not quite sure about it. And this 5-day quest certainly is something that'll help move people along the journey just a little bit.
It will give them that clarity. I
Yes.
don't know if you can hear the echo like I can. I've been very calm throughout it. On my side, I can hear it. And I can't close the screen in Zoom without going out of Zoom to shut it off.
Yeah,
So
no,
I'm
I can't
supposed
hear
to-
it.
On my end, I hear it, and I've been very calm and just hearing, but I've gotten to hear what you've said twice, so it's double beneficial for me. and myself, which drives me a little crazy sometimes.
Yeah.
But I learned to just tune it out. There's definitely something off in the settings, and I think I could probably correct it in Zoom.
Yeah.
This is a different computer from the one I'm used to being on. So every time I'm on this computer, it has a very persnickety attitude.
Oh.
It kind of like kicks back, like, you don't use me enough. Go to your old one. That's that. All right, so I'm gonna close out the meeting, but I want you to stay. But I'd like you to tell people, I did put your links in here, and I am gonna put them underneath the recording, like I told you earlier. Could you tell them where you are on Facebook and how they could reach you there?
On Facebook, it's Vegan Vagabonds 1, and then my website is veganvagabonds.ca. So if you go to the website, on the side, there's an area there for a number of free items to sign, that you can sign up for.
I love that. The girl after my own heart. Giveaways.
That's right.
But you also have a course. You're a course creator. So is that part of the 5-day quest that they would be able to learn more about that?
Yes, so I do have an online course, which is 6 weeks. And during that time, it's a self-taught video that you get. And then during the week as well, there's another 1 hour support session. So there's 5 of those. And then the 6th week is a one-to-one support session. And yeah, so I will talk a little bit more about that during the 5-day quest for sure.
Okay, well, I want to thank you for coming today. I think you've added a lot, and I think you've put a question in people's mind. That's what I hope to do.
Mhm.
You know, to let people see that there are other things available to them, and it's not so black and white, and that there's a lot of misconceptions
Yes.
out there because of marketing, and that everything is not what it appears, and that they
Mhm.
really owe it to themselves to try new things. So I tried to bring other people in so they do have a variety and they don't just hear what I'm saying, and they can hear it from other people. And I think you spoke very eloquently on the journey.
Well, thank you so much. And I can't tell you how much I appreciate you having me on, Andra. It's been wonderful, and I've enjoyed chatting with you and telling you a little bit about one of my favorite topics.
Well, thank you. I'm going to shut Facebook down, and then I'm going to keep you on for a few minutes. Okay.
Yep.
Bye, everyone.